Fantasy Football Manager 1, Justin Fields versus Trevor Lawrence. When it comes to this subject, there's going to be a lot of debate about which one of these guys offers the better fantasy upside. And honestly, with this whole draft class, there's a lot of fantasy upside. I like a lot of guys in this draft class. I like Trey Lance. I like Zach Wilson. Been doing a little bit of film work on Mac Jones, Kyle Trask. But we're going to keep it right at the top of the draft with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Which one of these guys is going to give you more bang for your investment come draft time? Trevor Lawrence has a dynamic skill set that will make him highly sought after in fantasy drafts. Considering the success we saw with Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, rookie quarterbacks will be on the rise this year. Given the Jacksonville Jaguars have found a running back in James Robinson, it makes it a little easier to lighten Trevor Lawrence's load. And for him, I like that. I like being able to balance the game with a nice running back and take a little bit of pressure off of your rookie quarterback. But when it comes to the passing game, and this is where you're looking for the upside, I think you're left wanting with this wide receiver core. We saw DJ Chark regress this year. They drafted Laviska Shenault, but I don't think we've seen enough from him. Currently, the Jacksonville Jaguars do not have a wide receiver who I feel can carry Trevor Lawrence's production in the passing game. They're going to have to go out and find a few more guys to help with that situation. Now, in the running game, I feel like Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to stabilize his value, at least until he comes along in the system to feel comfortable with the guys around him. Now, that's going to be very important early with that running game, because that running game is going to hold you for a few weeks, which means you don't necessarily need to panic on your quarterback. Hey, if you're getting 40, 50 yards rushing and maybe a touchdown over the first couple of weeks, it's a process when it comes to Trevor Lawrence. It's a process. And given this situation, this is a rebuild in Jacksonville. This is a rebuild. He's not falling into Atlanta, with two premium pass catchers. But Justin Fields, on the other hand, he very well could fall into the laps of the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, could we get him down to number 8 with the Carolina Panthers? And sitting at number 12 are the 49ers. 3 beautiful places for a quarterback to land. And if I'm Justin Fields, I'm looking to land in one of those situations. I think right now with the New York Jets, their development with their wide receivers isn't there yet. And considering they'd have to invest in one of these quarterbacks early means that a lot of the top tier wide receiver prospects are coming off the board. I think the Jets hold pat, which means the next decision falls on the Atlanta Falcons. And in that situation, I think Justin Fields has a huge leg up when it comes to his fantasy value. If he can land with the Atlanta Falcons, his passing production is so stable. And then you couple that with his running production, a guy who probably is going to get you 500 to 600 yards on the ground. And we'll say, hey, 5 touchdowns. I could feel comfortable, hey, I'm going to take Justin Fields, and I feel like, hey, his running game is going to give me a few weeks that I can ride through because he's going to give me that floor. That floor right there is going to stabilize my confidence in Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, we'll see. There could be a lot of turning around and handing it off to James Robinson, and they still need to find a number 1 guy. Justin Fields, on the other hand, hey, if he could land within Atlanta, we already know who's there. But if he gets to number 8 with the Carolina Panthers, dumping down to Christian McCaffrey, being coached up by Joe Brady, I love that situation for Justin Fields. And if he could land with a Kyle Shanahan with the San Francisco 49ers, the best play caller in the game, with that running game and that tight end, with Debo Samuels and Brandon Ayuk, I think the San Francisco 49ers could be one of those teams you see trade up, trying to get their hands on one of those guys like Zach Wilson or Trey Lance. I know I'm just spitballing with the Justin Fields down at number 12. I don't think that happens. So, round one of this battle, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. I think right now you're much more intrigued by the upside of Justin Fields and his opportunity to land with one of these premier play callers. I mean, we still don't know what that Jacksonville Jaguars offense is going to look like. And I think once you start to think about Atlanta and what Arthur Smith did with the Tennessee Titans, and you start to think about the Carolina Panthers and what Joe Brady did for that offense, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson, and you start to think about the San Francisco 49ers and how Kyle Shanahan puts his guys in positions to make plays. I think you're starting to salivate over the opportunity to draft a Justin Fields. He may be the guy that breaks the bank if he lands in one of those spots. I think you temper your expectations if if he goes to New York or if he ends up with Detroit. I'll reserve judgment for, later on in the offseason. But as it stands now, Justin Fields wins this versus battle. Man, we'll see as the offseason develops, how things go. But right now, I got my eyes on Justin Fields.